Welcome to today's, we're going to call it a houseplant vlog. I could call it a maintenance video, or we could call it giving my houseplant some TLC. I'm always struggling with my titles. I'm not really sure what's going to be catchy and engaging, but in today's video, we're going to be taking care of my houseplants. All I can say is they don't get a lot of care. Here I have with me one of my favorite houseplants. This is a standard rubber tree with some lovely variegation. I don't know if it has a special name, it probably does. And all I'm going to be doing for this tree today is watering it for sure. Probably could use a deep watering because I haven't done a deep watering. I'm gonna say in like probably a year, which is kind of embarrassing. It occasionally gets a light watering, like every month or two, maybe. I'm pretty negligent with my houseplants. So amazingly it survives, and there's no bugs. There's actually no bugs on any of my houseplants, most likely because they are severely underwatered. Anyways, we are going to water this plant, and I think it's got dust on it. It doesn't have a lot of dust, but it's not looking particularly glossy, so I'm thinking of giving it a bath. I might actually have to bath both of my houseplants and give them like a deep watering. Let's see how that goes. We might have to meet you in the bathtub. Before we venture into the bathroom, we are going to just take a look at where these plants are located. They've been growing side by side in front, well, to the side of these French doors. I'm thinking one of them should probably go parallel on the opposite side of these French doors instead of being together. So we may play a little houseplant rearranging game after the bath that they're going to have. Here we are in the bathroom, and this actually is quite a bit of a better lighting situation. You can really see the dust on, yeah, that's all dust. The dust on this dark, I think this is called a burgundy rubber plant. I'm not sure, but I think so. All of this white colored discoloring, I believe, is dust. This over here is not. That's almost like a form of irrigation, but there definitely is dust on here. So now I'm just contemplating the best way to give these guys a full plant bath. Do I want to use the overhead shower and just really drench them and dry each leaf off and dust at the same time and water at the same time? Or are they going to get too much water in the pot? These pots don't have drainage. That was kind of on purpose when I did that, but could be dangerous to use the shower head. Or I could wash them individually, each leaf, with some water and a cloth, and then soak the plant in water. That's probably the safer option, but I'm feeling a little bit reckless today, so I think I might actually use the overhead shower and try to do all three things at the same time. We're gonna wash, water, and probably dust, and then we'll dry them off after. We'll see how this goes. I haven't actually done this with plants before. Nice experiment today. So we are going to turn on the water and get started. Nice and cool. Now we're gonna turn them on and see. We're getting a nice shower here. Get them all showered up. Hope you can see that. Should be a nice deep watering happening right now. So now I'm just going to take some cloths and dry each leaf individually really thoroughly, and that should remove any remaining dust on the leaves. The zipper hairs get absolutely everywhere in this house. If you ever have a golden retriever, you will never be hair free. Let me tell you, the hair goes everywhere. We have a nice, beautiful, glossy leaf, free of dust. Should probably do the underside too, just to make sure. And now I'm going to repeat that with all of the other leaves on the plant. During my little plant drying session, I just noticed some peculiar spots on one of my leaves, and I think I'm gonna remove it. I'll show you what it looks like. I don't like how it looks, and my instincts are saying take it off because this might be a problem. Here is the suspect leaf in question. All of these markings. When I see that, I think of some kind of mold or fungal infection, which is very weird because there literally are no bugs, and I hardly ever water this plant, like every couple of months maybe, and not very thoroughly usually, so it's very strange. But I'm just feeling like this is a suspect leaf and it should be removed. So I'm gonna just pull this leaf right off. I don't like it. We're gonna get rid of it. Not even compost it. It's going in the garbage. This is why they call a rubber tree a rubber tree. I totally forgot about that when you pluck a leaf or something, it will bleed what looks like rubber. I wonder if I should probably mop that up or put a little compress on it. I don't know that that's good for the plant to have that running down the side. Sometimes I forget that plants need wound care too, just like people. I did that with a cherry tree actually. Once I put dressings on my wounded cherry tree quite a few years ago, and it actually did work. And that was not me being a nurse, that was me taking advice from the local garden group that I'm a part of. And given what happened to my cherry tree, they said basically to cover it like it's, you know, a wound, it needs a bandage, and it actually worked. Used pantyhose and solved my problem. I sort of forgot that this guy's gonna bleed all this rubbery sap. Hopefully not for too long. Should probably time it and see how long this thing bleeds for, but yeah, that's what I thought was gonna happen. I just adore these pink leaves. I don't know how well the camera picks up the lighting and the actual color, but they are so beautiful. They're shades of peach. This one here has shades of purple mixed in with, like, I'd call it a dark green, chartreuse green. We've got all kinds of shades in here, just gorgeous. And the centers are very, at the center part, the stem gives me the essence of a fuchsia color. It's really, really beautiful. I hope the camera can actually capture these really vibrant colors, but I'm not sure how well of a job it's doing. So it's actually quite satisfying to clean off this plant. There isn't that much dust, but I'm sure the plant's going to be happier afterwards. So the rubber trees are all nicely cleansed and dried off, and now we're going to put them back in their home. And one of them is going to get a slightly different home than it was in before. We're going to do a little plant rearranging. So this corner right here is where the variegated rubber plant is going to live. Kind of want to position it so that it's leaning in, hoping that it reaches for the window and leans out for the light. I think that's gonna work. We're gonna give it a try. Otherwise, I'll probably end up staking it, but I'd rather not. I think it's gonna naturally lean in to the light. I'm thinking with the rubber tree leaning into the corner, it's gonna grow more vertically and less at an angle, and it won't need staking. So hopefully that proves to be correct, because I just don't love staking plants. I mean, I can do it, but it's not my favorite chore or thing to do. So next we are going to tackle the plants right beside me. I have 3 of them that are in quite significant need of tender loving care. I'm not going to call it desperate, but let's call it significant need of TLC. I have 2 Boston ferns and a coffee plant. So we are going to start with, I think we're going to start with the coffee plant because it's probably a little simpler than the Boston fern situation. Here we are in the kitchen and I've got my coffee plant here. I just plucked a couple of leaves that are completely dried up from the plant. I was going to show you, but I didn't have a good camera angle, so you wouldn't have been able to see much anyways. So we're gonna pluck off this leaf here. See if I can get in closer. There's definitely some dehydration noted. I'm assuming that's dehydration, all the browning on the leaves. And I'm also going to do a little pruning on this before I give it a heavy drink of water and possibly some fertilizer. I'm thinking of fertilizing it. So the coffee plant has this little branch here that is basically dried up. Nothing is on it and it's somewhat brittle. Just going to remove it with scissors. There we go. Thinking of removing this branch here, sort of a side branch, just a little chop, and that's it. I don't know if this is a plant you can propagate, but I'm not going to try because I have enough trouble keeping my main plants alive. I don't really need any extras right now. Get that root ball nice and saturated. I'm actually going to just break up the soil with my scissors. That's what I'm doing right now. Because it's so rock hard, I think the water will absorb better with it being broken up. And I can tell I overdid it, so I'm going to have to dump some water out. It's actually swimming in water right now. So the hydration is done. We are going to give it a little fertilizer. Here we have the first fertilizer I ever used in my garden or with houseplants actually. This is by the company Reindeer's Natural Plant Foods, which is located, if you're on Vancouver Island, in the Cowichan Valley. Still there if you're not on Vancouver Island, but you might be familiar with the Cowichan Valley if you live here. This is a concentrated water-soluble pure seaweed extract. The seaweed is made locally on Vancouver Island in the Cowichan Valley. It is absolutely amazing food for plants. You can put this on any plant in your garden or houseplant. You could do it every single time you water and you will never burn your plants. Also want to note, I am not sponsored by this company, but I'm hoping one day in the future, maybe that'll happen. I don't know, but this is absolutely by far my favorite type of fertilizer for everything in the garden and in the house with plants. It is amazing. Maybe I said that too much. I'm not sure, but I love this fertilizer. Plants respond so well to it. And I don't know if the camera will pick this up. I'm thinking not. So this fertilizer contains 2% nitrogen, 2% phosphoric acid. For any chemistry people, that apparently is P2O5. I never would have known that. soluble potash, K20, 16%, and organic matter, 55%. So that is what this is composed of. And I want to call this black gold. It is amazing for plants. So we're going to give my coffee plant a little dose, and I'm going to show you how I mix it up. I do not follow the instructions. Sorry, Reindeer's Plant Foods. I use them as a guideline, but I definitely don't follow the instructions, as with many things. I'm not a big person on following instructions super well. If you were to follow the instructions, you'd want to mix 1 tablespoon, the equivalent of 5 grams per liter of warm water. That is not what we're doing. I'll show you what we're gonna do. And I mix this differently for my houseplants than I do for my outdoor plants, only because of my watering can size. Outside I use a big can, and in the house I use a small can. So the houseplants get a more concentrated dosage, and the outside plants get a more diluted dosage. So let's do it. I take a heaped teaspoon of the seaweed extract, put it in my watering can, and if you're curious what it looks like, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, it is absolutely gorgeous. It really is a very dark brownish black color, and it's just the most finely ground, beautiful looking powder. So that's what it looks like. Let's mix it up. Just fill up your watering can, and ooh, the water is warm. Typically I use cold water, especially outside, but this water is going to be lukewarm when it goes in the can, and you want to use your whole watering can in one session. You do not want to store this. That is actually what it says on the container. And I think it makes sense why you wouldn't want to store it, because there is 55% organic matter, and that's probably going to cause problems with mold, mildew, algae, bugs, all of the things that you don't want inside your home or outside your home. So use the whole batch when you make it if you're going to try this plant food. Just going to give my coffee tree a little drink of this black liquid gold. Next, we're going to tackle my Boston ferns. We have 2 of them. This originally was one giant plant, and in one of my first houseplant videos, maybe my second, I'm not sure, I basically gave these guys some TLC and broke this big root ball into 2 separate plants. And they're actually doing pretty well considering what they used to look like and the neglect that I give them fairly frequently. They're not doing too badly. So all I'm going to do today is give them a light trimming and a little water with fertilizer. Scissors here, and we are just going to do some trimming. Actually, I should have washed those first. Whoops. That's okay. Just removing as much of the as much of the browned material as possible to make these plants nice and bright and healthy. I just gave this guy a little trim, take off a few more branches. So now we're going to give these guys a little seaweed fertilizer and put them back to their home. Here these guys are back in their homes, looking quite a bit fresher and more tidy. So now we're going to move on to another specimen. Moving right along, we're going to play follow the supervisor to our next plant target. Here we are in my snake plant corner, and you might be able to tell one of my snake plants has kicked the bucket. I'm going to be taking this guy out to the compost bin or the graveyard, depending on how you want to look at it. Here we are up at my compost bin, and we're gonna say our final goodbyes to this plant. Rest in peace, little plant. You were loved, and you will be great compost for the vegetable garden. You will live on, my friend. You will be reborn into a new plant from all the nutrients you will provide in this compost bin. Next, we're going to give some of my cacti cuttings a little drink of water. If you've been following me on this channel for a while, you might have remembered the fairy garden video or the houseplant video I did with these cactuses. And then I got neglected and I really cut them to bits and re-rooted them. This is how they're doing. This whole stalk is new growth. If I can find the link, I'm going to link it in the description or the cards where I was repotting these little pieces of cacti so you can see the difference. So we're just going to use my trusty little spray bottle and give these guys a watering. If I could get my spray bottle to work. And I've got some more cactus that was rooted at the same time, a succulent, couple succulents, and I'm going to do the same thing with these guys. Just give them a little spray of water. And that's enough. Next, I'm going to give my orchids a little drink of water. I'm going to tell you a quick little story about this orchid. This was a very recent addition to my houseplant collection. I literally only had it for 2 to 3 days now, I want to say, and I absolutely love the color. I bought this orchid because I've been having a lot of stress in my life, particularly from some things going on in my workplace. We won't get into that, but I've been under a huge amount of stress. My body isn't handling it well, or my brain. And I decided I needed some plant therapies. So I was having a really rough day and I went to a plant nursery. And in our area, there's a place called Garden Works, and the atmosphere in there is so serene. It is like going to a plant therapist spa, I want to say. It is absolutely beautiful. Such a good temperature, humidity, vibe. You hear the water fountains and the waterfalls and all of the Buddhas and all of the good energy in that type of environment. That is where I found this orchid. The camera isn't really picking it up. It's actually a much more purple color in real life, and purple's my favorite color. So it was really a flower that was speaking to me, and it's one of the few houseplants and flowers that I'm not allergic to. I'm allergic to a lot of plants and foliage and flowers, and this one I have no reaction to. So I absolutely love orchids, and this one is like my plant therapist. It's beautiful. I look at it every day. I come and touch the leaves and give it a little spraying of water, and hoping that it's going to get me through some rough times. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you love houseplant videos, gardening videos, golden retriever cameos, you may want to subscribe to this channel. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are, and we will see you very soon in another video. Take care. Bye for now.